I spend a lot of time searching for consumer electronic equipment that is in need of repair on online auction websites. The more of a basket case a piece of electronic equipment is, the more I want it, as I enjoy a good repair-restore challenge. I came across this AIWA model AV-D25U stereo AV receiver on a charity auction site and was intrigued. Its listing indicated that it powered on, but it did not emanate any sound. I was the only bidder on it and paid $9.99 plus shipping. The charity auction site did an excellent job of packing the stereo AV receiver for shipment. It was encased in a bubble wrap cocoon, and it took me several minutes to unwrap after removing it from its shipping box. The AIWA model AV-D25U has analog inputs for tape, phono, auxiliary, CD, and video. Looks like it could also be used to switch audio-video input to an external TV monitor. There are connections for an AM loop and an FM long wire antenna required for radio reception. This stereo receiver features multiple speaker outputs, including one for an external subwoofer. In addition, there are speaker outputs for surround sound, center, and A and B speaker sets. I bench test all electronic items I purchase from auction sites just to verify operation. I connected speakers to A speaker output, connected an external FM antenna, then plugged it into AC power. I then proceeded to power it on, switched to FM stereo, and adjusted the volume to mid-range. I heard nothing, like the auction listing described. Then, I noticed on the lower left front of the AIWA model AV-D25U 2 switches labeled front speakers. Both were set to off. I turned on the one labeled A and presto, I suddenly heard sound from the speakers. After thoroughly testing, I determined that there was absolutely nothing wrong with this stereo receiver. It would have worked fine with the proper switches configured. Most likely, a worker at the charity auction site had a finite amount of time to test each piece of consumer electronic equipment. He or she connected the speakers to the A speaker output and didn't realize the speaker output was disabled on the front panel. Even though the AIWA model AV-D25U worked perfectly, it was quite dirty, so I decided to detail it inside and out. First, I removed all the accumulated dust from inside of the stereo receiver using compressed air. After cleaning, I applied a coat of car wax to the outside of the metal enclosure, then buffed it with a lint-free chamois. I applied a coat of protectant, similar to Armor All, to the plastic facade of the AIWA model AV-D25U. I cleaned the back of the stereo receiver with Windex and a lint-free chamois. I used a Q-tip moistened with Windex to get into difficult-to-reach areas like the base of the RCA jacks. Here is a picture of the clean AIWA model AV-D25U chassis prior to installing the metal enclosure. I tested the AIWA model AV-D25U one more time after it was all assembled. Finally, my newly acquired AIWA AV-D25U stereo AV receiver took its place in my stereo rack, with my other refurbished stereo equipment. It is important to first test electronic equipment acquired from online auction sites, even if it is listed as for parts or repair. You may also find a gem of electronic equipment that does not require any repair at all.